It's Thursday, May 7th. In the headlines, government launches review of Hurricane Melissa response to strengthen disaster preparedness. In business news, Mayberry Group defends a $2.2 billion loss. Regionally, Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis stresses importance of free press amid rising global challenges. And in sports, Rudolph Speed appointed Reggae Boys coach for Unity Cup in England. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The government has launched a national after-action review of Jamaica's response to Hurricane Melissa, as officials seek to strengthen the country's disaster preparedness systems ahead of future emergencies. Speaking at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing, Minister of Information, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, said while the government believes Jamaica responded well under extremely challenging circumstances, there is still room for improvement. We have more from Danita Rodney.
According to Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, the review will examine Jamaica's overall disaster response system following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, which was described as an unprecedented Category 5 storm, and reflects the government's commitment to learning from every emergency response.
As a government, we are never satisfied with our response to anything. We're always trying to grow, always trying to learn from our experience. Hurricane Melissa was a Category 5 hurricane, unprecedented. And as government, we do think that given the circumstances, that government performed fairly well. But we're not stopping there. We're doing this review because we always believe there are lessons to be learned and we can only get better.
She shares that the assessment will involve external partners and examine both successes and gaps in the response effort.
And so this review is on the way to look at Jamaica's disaster response system. We'll be doing it with external partners. We'll look at what worked well. We'll be able to identify the gaps that are there and generate practical recommendations for improving preparedness, coordination, emergency communication, resource mobilization, and early recovery.
The Information Minister says the findings will guide future disaster response planning.
This is a government always wanting to learn, always wanting to improve.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Jamaica's health authorities are increasing surveillance and preparedness measures following reports of a deadly Hantavirus outbreak linked to a cruise ship off the coast of Africa. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bissessa-McKenzie says while the World Health Organization has assessed the global risk as low, the virus can cause severe illness and death. Dr. Bissessa-McKenzie, who gave the update during Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing, says the virus, though rare, can be dangerous.
So Hantavirus is a family of viruses that cause severe illness and can cause death. And in humans, it leads to the hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, hantavirus hemorrhagic fever, and renal syndrome. And these illnesses are severe illnesses that can lead to death. We generally start out with fever, GI symptoms, progression to pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and shock. And the management, as on the ship, has been case isolation, medical evacuation, of course, the necessary investigations, and really getting persons to the critical care that they need.
The CMO says cruise vessels entering Jamaica are closely monitored through mandatory health declarations and onboard assessments by local authorities.
When the ship comes into port, then there is further assessment in terms of our officers boarding the ship and ensuring that what is on the report is in fact true And of course, in situations like these where there is, something that is happening, there is even more vigilance. So we're going to be a lot more proactive. We've spoken to our Director of Environmental Health to ensure that our team is properly sensitized about the matter and that we are more proactive in terms of our inspections.
The ministry is also urging members of the public to practice proper hand hygiene and self-isolate if symptoms develop.
Just to say, in terms of the general management, we've spoken about infection prevention and control coming out of so many illnesses that we've had to manage, and the standard approach in terms of infection prevention and control remains in terms of persons ensuring that they're washing their hands, if they're sick, that they isolate themselves, they stay away from crowds, etc., until their situation can be checked out. So
officials say while Jamaica does not currently test locally for hantavirus, samples can be sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency and local testing capacity can be expanded if needed. Jamaica's annual Child Month Candlelight Vigil has once again brought together families, leaders and young people to honor children lost to violence and renew the call to protect those still at risk and build safer communities.
Each May, Jamaica pauses to remember the nation's most precious treasures, or children, who have been lost to violence through the annual Child Month Candlelight Vigil. It is a solemn gathering where leaders, families gather to honor young lives lost under tragic circumstances, while renewing a promise to protect those still with us. Held at the Secret Garden Monument, also known as Crying Child Monument in downtown Kingston, the vigil has been observed for over 17 years and remains a key staple of Child Month activities, serving as both a memorial and a call to action. Designed by sculptor Paul Napier, the monument features the haunting image of a crying child and bears the names, ages, and dates of death of hundreds of young victims. Over the years, more than 450 names have been etched into its surface, each one a life lost and a story unfinished.
Too much is happening amongst our young people. Within our schools, within our communities, there has to be a different way. And so as we reflect on the life of those who never had the opportunity to shine, let us try and ensure that no more names under tragic and violent circumstances is added to this monument.
Against this backdrop, the vigil becomes more than remembrance. It becomes a demand for change.
And it's our duty to ensure that they are protected and their rights are upheld. We must stand up and speak out against any form of violence or abuse that threatens the safety and well-being of our children. We must be their voice when they cannot speak for themselves, and we must fight for the justice of their behalf. It is our collective responsibility to create a safe and nurturing environment for all children.
Through poems and testimonials, youth groups highlight the challenges they face and their hopes for a better future.
The time is now. We need to act now. Stand against child abuse and exploitation. Be a humanitarian. We demand your protection. Don't abuse your position. Don't abuse your power. Only you can make the abuse rate lower. Not afraid for cause the soca. We depend on you. We are depending on you for our protection.
For many, the vigil is a reminder that awareness alone is not enough.
This is not just another calendar event for the KSAMC. It is a declaration that the KSAM sees the protection and well-being of our children as priority, that their resilience matter, their voices matter, and that their future is something that we will defend with everything that we have.
And like each year, the candles flicker in remembrance. The message remains clear. Every child deserves to feel safe, seen, and supported.
Let us stand with our children. Let us build a safe Jamaica. Let us build communities of hope and inspiration, and most importantly, respect for lives.
The National Works Agency says sidewalk construction work will begin this week along sections of Hope Road in Kingston. The month-long project will target the corridor between Kingsway and Waterloo Road and is aimed at improving pedestrian safety. NWA Communication and Customer Services Manager Stephen Shaw says the works, valued at just over $4 million, will also include drain cleaning as well as pothole patching and repairs. Motorists are being urged to exercise caution in the area and obey posted warning signs throughout the duration of the project. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the development shaping markets, capital access, and business decision making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into stories that matter. Supreme Ventures Limited SVL customers can now pay Digicel Flow, National Water Commission in Jamaica Public Service Company bills through the SVL subsidiary Evolve Bill Pay. Evolve Bill Pay will compete in the local market with Digicel's Paymaster, GK's Bill Express, Prime Trust, among others. And quote, Evolve Bill Pay represents our ongoing commitment to enhancing customer convenience and providing essential financial services to communities throughout Jamaica, end quote, stated Delroy Anderson, Chief Innovation Officer at Supreme Ventures FinTech Limited. The expansion of Evolve Bill Pay follows the announcement over the weekend that Supreme Ventures Financial Services received the Bank of Jamaica's regulatory approval to offer a digital wallet with an accompanying prepaid MasterCard. Mayberry Group hit back at critics of its recently reported financial loss of 2.2 billion Jamaican dollars by stating, and I quote, "Our reported loss is an accounting reflection of market conditions and not operational failure," end quote. Speaking at its latest investor briefing, Mayberry Group CEO Gary Peart assured investors that, quote, after the melees in the Jamaican stock market, Mayberry Jamaica Equity still has 10 billion Jamaican dollars in shareholders' equity. I believe by December of this year, when it flips, Mayberry Jamaica's equities will record a profit north of $2.6 billion. The question is, do you buy the history or do you buy the future? End quote. Chairman of Mayberry Group, Christopher Berry, weighed in with, and I quote, "When you invest in stocks in Jamaica, it is not a short-term thing. Right now, Mayberry Jamaica Equity is a story of its underlying assets. And the one I am most concerned about is Jamaica broilers, but my concern is not shared by the market," end quote. Berry also noted that he thinks NCB, Dollar, Supreme Ventures, and JMMB are all trading at 5 times and are likely to be higher at the end of the year. Overall, the portfolio performance should improve this year. For the trading period of May 6, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Atlantic Hardware and Plumbing Company Limited with 5,633,995 units, representing 19.14% of market sales activities. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Manufacturing and Distribution with 3,441,496 units, representing 11.69% of market sales activities. Kintyre Holdings Jamaica Limited with 3,263,479 units, representing 11.09% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in hardware, finance, and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for May 6, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. The US dollar traded margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $156.74 and buying at $158.48. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.70 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $115.45 and was bought for $113.75. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.84 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $215.39 and was bought for $213.55. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, many young adults only engage with credit when there's a problem. As a parent with years of experience in credit and having a credit score, shift that pattern for your adult child early. Set a rhythm. Review their credit profile a few times a year. Discuss what changed and why. Adjust behaviors before issues grow. This keeps the process calm, controlled, and forward-looking. So as a parent of a young adult, you can move from control to coaching. It's tempting to monitor every move, but that approach doesn't scale. Your role is to guide decision-making, not to make every decision. Give your child room to act. Let them learn from small missteps while the stakes are still low. Stay available, but don't take over. Credit score, credit reports, and credit worthiness is a lifelong process. For our funded and focused feature, the real question is not which funding option is best, but which is appropriate for your stage, your risk tolerance, and your long-term strategy for your business. Fast money can solve immediate problems in your business, but create structural weaknesses. Slower, more disciplined funding paths may feel restrictive, but they also build stronger foundations. Micro businesses don't fail simply from lack of capital. They fail from mismatched capital. The more intentional the choice, the more control the entrepreneur retains over both the business and its future. Loan sharks provide fast cash, but often trap businesses in high interest debt. Microcredit offers smaller, more structured loans for entrepreneurs who cannot access traditional banks. Credit cards give flexibility, but high interest rates can quickly hurt cash flow if balances grow. Bank loans are usually the most affordable option, though many micro businesses struggle to qualify because of collateral and documentation requirements. Family and friends can provide flexible support, but unclear expectations may strain family relationships. Some businesses raise money through micro stock markets by giving up a small ownership stakes instead of taking on debt. And that's today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, as the world observed World Press Freedom Day on May 3, the Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis is reaffirming the importance of a free and independent press in protecting democracy and fostering peace. Under this theme this year, Shaping a Future at Peace, the association says access to credible and trustworthy information is more critical than ever in today's rapidly evolving global landscape. The details from TVC Channel 40 News.
In a rapidly evolving global landscape, the association notes that access to reliable information is more critical than ever.
In today's rapidly evolving global landscape, the demand for accurate, timely information, free from bias and political interference, has never been greater. Independent journalism and access to credible information are essential to promoting peace, defending human rights, and holding those in power accountable, particularly in an era marked by conflict and information disorder.
The Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis says independent journalism is key to promoting peace, defending human rights, and ensuring accountability, especially amid rising misinformation and global tensions. Locally, the association says press freedom is generally upheld in St. Kitts and Nevis, but cautions that these rights remain vulnerable. The association is also raising concerns about the sustainability of local media, pointing to the impact of artificial intelligence and unregulated online platforms.
Since the revitalization of the association in 2022, the Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis has consistently raised concerns about the sustainability of local media entities. Many are facing significant challenges brought on by technological advancements, the rise of artificial intelligence, and the growing presence of social media reporters and platforms presenting themselves as legitimate news sources. Coupled with increasing media illiteracy and the spread of AI-generated misinformation, these factors pose a serious threat to credible journalism.
The association says it has been engaging stakeholders to find solutions to strengthen the industry and improve efficiency across the sector. The association is encouraging journalists to remain committed to ethical standards as they carry out their work. Glenn Bart reporting for Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40.
Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, says Carla Barnett has the full support of Dominica following controversy surrounding her reappointment as the Secretary General of a Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Speaking at a news conference on Wednesday, Prime Minister Skerrit defended the process used to secure Barnett's renewed term and urged Caribbean nations to focus on greater regional unity and cooperation amid ongoing debate over the appointment.
The issue of the Secretary General, this has been, I'm not sure why you asked me a question about this. This thing has been ventilated in the public domain. I mean, every plate and spoon in the kitchen has been exposed on this matter. I'm not sure what else you want me to say about this matter. As far as I'm concerned, Dr. Carla Barnett currently has been reappointed as Secretary General, and in Dominica's style, we always we're team players, and we support the decision and we move on. So this is how we approach it. So she continues to get our support in this matter, and if there's a decision by the Bureau or the Conference of Heads to reopen the discussion, then that's fine with me. But as far as we're concerned, the process was ventilated, was recognized, and discussions ensued, and it emerged that by a majority that she should be reappointed, and so this is what it is. I hope I've answered your question satisfactorily. Half and half, okay. All right.
The long-running border controversy between Venezuela and Guyana returned to the spotlight at the International Court of Justice this week as Venezuela defended its claim to the disputed Essequibo region and rejected the court's jurisdiction over the matter. Venezuela's representative, Samuel Moncada, accused Guyana of attempting to use the court to redefine the territorial dispute, while insisting the controversy must be resolved under the 1966 Geneva Agreement through direct negotiations between the two countries.
Venezuela is here today because it cannot remain silent in the face of a process that Guyana intends to use to unilaterally redefine both the nature of the territorial dispute and the obligations binding Venezuela and Guyana under the Geneva Agreement. Venezuela is here today to respond to Guyana's erroneous and misleading narrative and to set straight the true legal framework of the territorial dispute and the limits imposed also by international law and the Geneva Agreement on Guyana's attempt to fraudulently transform the dispute and its obligations. President, members of the court, Venezuela has a long tradition of historical rights over Guyana-Essequibo, derived from the presence of the Spanish Empire and the Venezuelan Republic over centuries. Indeed, the Essequibo River itself is named after the Spanish explorer Juan de Esquivel. The Netherlands came to the territory while it was still part of the Spanish Empire, gaining independence in 1648 through the Treaty of Munster, the very same treaty in which Spain recognized the Netherlands' claim to the territory east of the Essequibo River. The Spanish Empire was very clear about its possessions in Guyana-Essequibo and defended them against the Dutch in an ongoing effort to expel illegal intruders, therefore demonstrating its control over the territory.
In sports, we focus on football. Rudolph Speed has officially been appointed head coach of Jamaica's national football team for the 2026 Unity Cup later this month in England. The Jamaica Football Federation confirmed that the technical staff which guided the Reggae Boys during the FIFA World Cup playoffs in Mexico earlier this year will remain in place for the tournament. The retained coaching staff includes Miguel Coley, Michael Donaldson, Aaron Lawrence, and Lamar Morgan. The group was initially appointed on an interim basis after former head coach Steve McLaren resigned. The JFF says the search for a permanent head coach will begin after the Unity Cup. The 4-team tournament will feature Jamaica, India's national football team, defending champions Nigeria, and Zimbabwe's national football team. Zimbabwe and India will open the competition on May 26, with Jamaica facing India on May 27. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.